Welcome to the next video in the series where Bumbles the bee meets a flower. Now I want Bumbles to fly across the screen, introduce itself to the flower and then fly out. At the moment Bumbles just sits there on the screen, buzzing the wings as we did the previous video. Those wings are a bit slow for me though, so I'm going to speed them up by reducing some or getting rid of some frames. I'm going to double click on Bumbles. This goes into the symbol itself. Highlight the first two frames after the first keyframe. Those next two, delete those, which is Shift F5 or Function Shift F5 on a Mac. Function Shift F5. So now that the animation is occurring over a much shorter time frame, which means that when I go back into the scene and hit my Command Enter again, there's Bumbles flying a lot faster. So now I can do the next section, which is put Bumbles in the thing. But Bumbles is in front of the flower, but I want to separate those layers. So I'm going to call this first layer Flower, and I'll remove Bumbles from the scene, create a new layer. I'll call this one B. And I'll put Bumbles into that layer. Let's just check that Bumbles is in front of the flower. Yes, that's perfect. And now I'm going to, you can see the two layers there. I'm going to put Bumbles off the screen. And you might have to reduce the size of your view up there. And I'll go up to about frame 480. I want this scene to go for a fair way. You'll notice that it's 24 frames a second. If I wanted to go for, say, 20 seconds, then I'm going to have to go two lots of 24 times 20, or 240 plus 240, which is 10 seconds plus 10 seconds. Either way, go to that point in the timeline, hit Function F5 and create all those frames going from the start to the finish. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a motion tween for Bumbles to fly across, say hello to the flower, go out, have a look around, go back in, then come back out and then fly off. How you do that is up to you, but we'll just show you what I've done here. I'm going to go to a frame about 120, which is around about 5 seconds in, so thereabouts. Change the timeline so you can see all the frames you need to. Frame 120, do a right click on that timeline and create a motion tween. Now, what happens when I move Bumbles into the stage? It creates a line. Now we can bend those lines and so forth, but for the moment we'll leave them straight, and we'll come back to that. Then I want Bumbles to sit there for a little minute whilst Bumbles looks at the flower. So I'm going to go to the next frame and hit Function F6, which creates a keyframe in the motion tween where I can keep the bee still. Go to my next frame where I want to say, maybe 24 frames later, a second or so, hit Function F6 again, then move Bumbles down, or you could, I think I've mucked that up a little bit, but that's okay. I can extend that. Go to the next frame where I want Bumbles to move, hit Function F6. I want Bumbles to stay in front of the flower there. I should have done that the first time, but anyway. Go to another frame. Now this time I'm not going to worry about the keyframe. Just move Bumbles, it'll follow, the trail will follow itself. Go to another frame, move Bumbles around again. Remember, we can bend these. Go to another frame, move Bumbles back in. Now this time I would probably hit F6 to keep Bumbles there. So then go back onto another frame, move further on. Hit F6 again because you want Bumbles to stay in that position. But this is another keyframe where it will move. Now I'm going to go back out. Don't worry about the F6, just keep dragging out. It will create the movement frames. And then I'm going to go to sit there for a bit, function F6, and I should have, and I'll move that around a little bit so that Bumbles gets a little bit of movement. Go to the next frame where I want to be off the page. Oh, actually no, so F6 to keep it there, and then the next frame where I want to be off the page. You'll experiment with these a bit. Let's see what happens. Yep, Bumbles flies in, goes straight down. I didn't stop there, then it goes up, down, across, stops, up, stops, changes direction a bit and flies off. Now, there's a few things wrong with this, but it's got the overall idea. First, I'm going to probably get rid of some of that. I want to fly it a lot quicker than that. That's ridiculous. So I'm going to highlight a great number of those frames and hit function Shift F5 or Shift F5 if you're a normal keyboard. That's a bit quicker, but I'll reduce that a bit more. So get rid of some more of those. Function Shift F5 on your Macs. I want that to be quite quick. So, you know, Bumbles has made the mind up on what little mind a bee has. I'm going to fly off. I've had enough. Now I'm going to bend them. So I go back to my selection tool, which is V, and I can bend my curves. And you see that when you just hover next to them, you get that little bend symbol. So I'll bend that one there. I'll bend that one there a little bit. And I might make that fly out go down a bit. I'll do that in a second though. I'll make this go a little bit more of a circle shape, or you can change these around a little bit to suit your own purposes. I'll make that come down, and we'll see what happens now. Of course, you know, you can remove frames to speed things up, add frames to slow things down. Bumbles goes around the circle. Check that flower out. Pretty good flower, but I'm not sure that I'm interested. And see ya. So, having done all that, we're ready to save our file. Right, thanks for watching, and go forth and enjoy making a motion tween.